name is Madison Martin. This is my audience. Alright, hello everyone. My name is Madison Martin and I'm here today to explain to you why I believe assisted suicide should be legal in the United States of America. Oxford Dictionary defines assisted suicide as suicide with the assistance of another person, especially the taking of lethal drugs provided by a doctor for the purpose by a patient with a terminal illness or incurable condition. In order to make an informed decision on whether you do or do not believe that assisted suicide should be legal in the United States, it is vital that you know how the process works from start to end. Patients are given time to say goodbye to their families at the beginning. They can call their loved ones, have them come in and say goodbye. They are given final rights if they so choose, tie up the loose ends on their will, and then the process actually begins. So, surrounded by their loved ones or not, if they don't want them to bear witness to the process that they are about to go through, a doctor will then insert a sedative into an IV that will then put them to sleep, ensuring that this process is a painless one for them. A doctor will then administer a lethal dose of a drug that will slowly but surely stop their heartbeat. It may take minutes, it may take hours, but slowly but surely you'll get that beep at the end. Barbiturates are typically the most effective drug that are used in euthanasia and assisted suicide, especially in the Netherlands where assisted suicide is legal. It's typically used as a mind relaxer, so it will help people sleep, it helps prevent seizures, and it helps also reduce anxiety. But in lethal doses, it will stop a person's heartbeat, so it is effective. It is effective as a patient who has invoked their right to die, and it is essential that you use the right drug. Otherwise, you might cause more harm to a patient and more pain than they were in the first place. This is not a decision that is made lightly on either end by a doctor or a patient. There are several requirements that must be met, and there is lots of red tape to cross. One of the requirements is that a patient must be 18 years old or older to invoke the right to die. No minors are allowed to make this decision, and rightfully so. They are too young to understand the severity of the choice that they are making. They must be in the correct mental headspace. Psych evaluations are made so that they know the patient is making this choice for the right reasons. They can't have depression or anything like that. And they must be able to physically communicate, so anyone who's intubated or on life support is not able to make this decision because they will not be able to physically and verbally communicate that wish to die. The diagnosis then also must be terminal. You must not have a common cold and you wish to go to the hospital and, oh, I want to invoke my right to die. That's not how that works. A common cold is curable. Some cancers are not. They will lead to you dying. And it must be a death that is coming in the next 6 months. So the diagnosis then also must be confirmed by 2 physicians. You don't want to have one doctor who says you're going to die and then one doctor who says I have a drug that's going to cure you up, you'll be good in the next week. That's not how that works. And you must have verbally communicated and written it down multiple times within a 15-day time period. It's not something that you would have said one time and they took it and run with it. You must have written it down and communicated it multiple times so that they know this is actually what you want and you understand the severity of the decision that you are making. A common argument against assisted suicide being legal in the United States is it against the Hippocratic Oath that doctors take when they become a physician? No, it is not. The Hippocratic Oath that a doctor takes is to do no harm, and they are not doing harm to a patient. Yes, they are ending a patient's life, but are they causing harm to someone who is in so much pain in the first place? And they are not, because the patient has explicitly asked them to end their suffering, and they have been in so much pain that death is a relief for them. So no, it is not against the Hippocratic Oath. There are so many pros to assisted suicide being legal. One of those is ultimately it ends the pain and suffering, which comes first and foremost. These people have been suffering for a long time. Relief and death are one and the same for them. So they also will be able to die with dignity. A lot of patients who are terminal will lose their mental and physical capacity, and they won't even be able to speak, feed, do anything by themselves. They rely solely on nurses and doctors and their families and loved ones to do everything for them. So taking this decision into their own hands will allow them to control their own fate. Financial burden is also relieved from families. Hospital bills are not cheap in the slightest, especially for someone who is living in a hospital, who has round-the-clock care for a terminal illness. That hospital bill will be severely lessened if they invoke the right to die, and the outcome is the same either way. You are losing your family member. The only thing you're saving is that $1 million bill that may come to your family after you have passed. A patient can arrange their final goodbyes. You don't want to have your loved one alive one day and you plan to go see them, and when you get there they're already gone. You can say goodbyes, you can give them all the hugs and kisses you want before they're put to sleep, and it can be a more peaceful and less traumatic death on the family and for the patient. It will be less painful for them, and it might be less painful for you to then watch your loved one die of a horrible illness. Organs can then also be harvested and donated. If you're going through intensive care, your kidneys might be damaged from all the drugs that you're taking, your liver, from radiation or whatever. If you're having cancer, if you have cancer and that's your terminal illness, that can save multiple people's lives after you've passed. And a patient will then be in control of their own fate after a disease has been controlling their life for the better part of however long they've been diagnosed. In conclusion, imagine you are the patient and you have a life full of pain and suffering, being told that your only option is to get to a point where your body is so severely damaged that it has to concede to the pain and suffering you've endured for so long. Where does our humanity lie? Why are we letting these people suffer and taking away their only viable option? Assisted suicide is the way to do that. We can give these patients their bodily autonomy back after it has been ripped from them for so long. It should be legal, and the world is already so harsh. Why do we have to make them suffer any longer? Thank you for listening. This is my audience. Thank you.